Good afternoon everyone, thank you for joining me on my latest video, I really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone that continues to subscribe and support and comment as well. So today I want to talk just a little bit about the cost of living scam, because that's what it is, and the apparent biggest benefit fraud in UK history that's transpired this week over a period of a few years with regards to a Bulgarian gang who have been removing money from the benefit system fraudulently. So I'll get into that in a second. But like I say, first I just want to discuss the cost of living crisis, as they're calling it. I'm calling it the cost of living scam because that is exactly what it is. Because it doesn't need to be happening. As with everything else, poverty, hunger, this is engineered. It does not need to be this way, but they have made it so for reasons that I've discussed on this channel. Now, when you look back, in fact, just before I do that, let's just take a look at some of the profits that big business are raking in and have done since this cost of living crisis kicked in. We've had BP reporting record profits. We've had Tesco reporting record profits. We've had Co-op. I don't know if they reported record profits, but I've definitely seen that their profits were up. Not to mention, that's just the ones I've checked. Not to mention any of the other ones in the fuel industry or in like Tesco's or something like that. Because they're all profiting from it. They're all using it to their advantage. And this is what business people do. They see a gap in the market or they see an opportunity and they take advantage of it. And it's even better if they perceive it to be legal, which they obviously have. Now, I don't know about where you live, but every time I go into a shop here, something's gone up 10 or 20 pence. And I believe now that they're just taking the piss out of it now. It's almost like they're saying, well, it's okay, they've not noticed. They've got it into their heads that the cost of living's causing this. So I don't like my accounts this month or the way my accounts are going to be projected for the next quarter. I could do something about this. The accountant comes in and says, well, actually what we could do is we could put this, this and this up. That gives us more of a percentage, which will cover the quarterly losses. But that's not what it is. It's beyond that because, as I've said, they're reporting record profits. Now, if you have just, because what they were saying at the start, it was, we've only had to increase these prices to cover the fuel cost because fuel is costing so much. Right, okay, that's fine. But yet the fuel companies they're reporting record profits. But that's the point. If you're only putting your costs up just to cover what you've lost with regards to how much the fuel has gone up to cover that gap, then how have you managed to post record profits? It's only a small amount to cover the extra cost in fuel. So record profits should not come into it. Absolutely it should not. And like I say, every time I go into a shop here, it's gone up. I'll give you an example. I bought chewing gum the other week there and it was £1.40. I went in yesterday and it was £1.50. I bought 2 tubs of ice cream the other week that I went to, or the other day there. They were £1.10 each the last time I bought them a few weeks ago. I went to buy them the other day, they were £2 each. Now that's taking the piss. That's a markup. Well, it's almost 100% markup. It's almost double. It's almost double the price. Because people they're just saying, well, people just think it's the cost of living. I can get away with this. Don't need to break the law. I can just put my prices up because everyone's accepting it. We're all accepting it. We're all still trying to buy the same things we were buying before, me included. Although this week I'm going to try and make an effort to try and boycott some of this because I think that's what we need to be doing. Because it's just taking advantage of people. It's taking advantage of people that are already in difficulty. They're already having bad times and they're already struggling to make ends meet. I mean, as I've said many times, people are switching their heatings off. I know it's coming into the weather now where we don't need to worry so much about that, but people still need their heating on in the summer for certain things, but they can't afford to do it. And these energy companies are reporting record profits. My brother, when this first started, he runs a company and he's a manager. They basically, I can't remember what what every month their energy was. It was a few thousand, 3,000 or 4,000, whatever it was. But then when this energy crisis had kicked off, it went to 15,000 for 1 month. And they basically said, look, this is going to close us down. So they had to come to an arrangement. But they could just drop it right back down. So it's these markups because they don't want small business. They want it, even small businesses that aren't transnational corps, they want done away with them, even if it's quite large in their area, as this one is. But they managed to come to an agreement to keep on running. But how can they justify that? How can they justify taking a resource from the earth that they've gotten to first and sell it back to us? Because this is the problem with it. This has been the problem with it. There's a film called There Will Be Blood. It's Daniel Day-Lewis that's in it, and it's all about when the oil industry kicked off. And it's a cutthroat business, and it's no different now till it was then. But getting back to these transnational corporations that are putting these prices on and claiming they're only doing it to cover their costs, the costs that have lost through the excess money that they've had to spend in fuel. And I'm not saying they've not, but when you're reporting record profits, you're putting up a little bit more than that, are you not? And I'd say to anyone, if that is what they're doing, you might as well go to these local shops. I try to shop as locally as possible, as much as possible, but it's not always easy. And this they knew when they opened things like Tesco's or Safeway it was back in the day, and Morrison's and all the rest of it. It was always going to outdo these smaller greengrocers and butchers and what have you. So that was all part of the plan. But when you look at the cost of living crisis, it started way before 2019, but I would say that that's when it really started to kick off. Because if you remember correctly, well, when this apparent war kicked off in Ukraine and Russia, people were saying, oh, it's really bad for the Ukrainians. Okay, maybe it is. It's bad for everyone at the moment. But I said a prayer for the people of Ukraine back in 2019 when Zelensky was manipulated into the presidency, because he was indeed manipulated into that presidency for obvious reasons. Now we can look back with hindsight and see why. Because he was a chess piece. Now, when they moved, when the Americans helped to manipulate this election to get him in, they started doing war game exercises. That's what it's known in the trade, on the Russian border. Now, a country of America it's been I can't remember, 300 years or whatever it's been around for, and look how many countries it's attacked. Look how many wars it's started. It's never been attacked, other than if you say 9/11, but that was themselves that done that, or the networks. But they've never really been attacked. But they've attacked many countries since its inception, and look how many civilians they've killed. So I don't care. I'm not for Putin either. I believe he's a chess piece as well. But for the purposes of this opinion, if you're Vladimir Putin and someone like the American military are performing war game exercises, which is essentially training for war, then you mobilise your military. I'm not a military man, I'm not into war or anything like that, but I would imagine that's on page 1 of the manual, the Major's Manual, if you like. A hostile country mobilises war games on your border, and you're just going to sit back and have a cup of tea and hope for the best? No. You mobilise, which is exactly what Putin done. Now, Putin, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. I was accused of being misled by someone, a person that had Vladimir Putin as their profile picture. Now, he may be trying to do some good, I don't know, but I just don't trust this lot, because if you look back at World War II, they'd done the same thing then. These are leaders that were apparently played off against each other, were doing anything but behind the scenes. And that's the problem with it. Even if they weren't doing that behind the scenes, the people that control them would have been. Because it's playing them off against each other to get a desired outcome. That's what they do. It's the reason for the war. It's the Hegelian dialect, as they call it, or whatever it is. But when he was manipulated onto that presidency, that was it. That was the beginning of this. Now, it's come to light over the last couple of years. It's actually quite well known now about Hunter Biden, and it's Joe Biden's son. It's well documented. Documents have came to light that Biden and Hunter manipulating energy countries in Ukraine. I mean, even before all this kicked off, the Ukrainians were known to spend up to 40 or 50% of their salaries on energy alone. And this was all down to the Bidens. Now, this all came to light when Hunter Biden, who has got a complex relationship with Charlie Ching, so much so that he had a laptop that was stuffed full of corruption, shall we say, and he'd taken it to someone to get it repaired, and probably went on a coke binge and forgotten to go back and get it. Well, this repairer, computer repairer, has obviously kept this for payment, and when they've opened it up, like I say, it's been a world of bloody corruption. I think he's still answering for it now, Hunter Biden. But it's well known that he's a criminal, and so is Joe Biden. And these were the people that helped manipulate Zelensky into the presidency. Now, here's the thing. Ever since that happened, they've done nothing but demonise Russia. Demonise. Now, I'll say it again, I wouldn't trust Vladimir Putin. I wouldn't. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't trust him. Something in my stomach tells me that he's not what he appears to be. But that's beside the point. He's been demonised. And he's been demonised for a reason, because they need an excuse. They needed an excuse to sanction Russia, which is what they've now done. Now, because of that, they had supplied a large part of the world with oil fuel. That's why it's been so expensive since those sanctions have came. They put a sanction on Russia saying we can't buy fuel from them, so we need to go and get it from elsewhere, which is no doubt manipulated so that these big bloody business companies can then make all the money off it, so we can't buy it from Russia, and that is exactly what's happened. Now, this is the excuse that they're bloody using for putting all the prices up. We need to because of the fuel price, right? Okay, but I'll say it again, you're still posting record profits, and I would like to know why. You should, if you're just putting your prices up to do that, it shouldn't really be any difference. In fact, you should probably still be losing a little bit. I would imagine you would still be losing a little bit, even if you did that, but that would be expected because everyone else is in that situation also. But they're not. I'll say it one more time, they're reporting record profits. Profits that they've never, ever experienced before, they're reporting that. And it all goes back to Zelensky getting manipulated into the Ukrainian presidency. And it's all part of the plan. It's called the Great Work of Ages, and it's been around for a very long time. But the point is, in 2019, we'd gotten to that part. It was time to put their placeman into Ukraine so that they could get to the next stage. Because this is the thing, when you look, see, this is the benefit of researching, going back, because you've got the benefit of hindsight and you can actually see what's transpired since. Now, they've blew up bloody oil pipelines and everything recently over there. That's not a coincidence. It's just, and then we go into, this is the thing again, down all the other avenues, you get into 9/11 and stuff like that. And then there was a pipeline they tried to put in there that, I think it was Bill Clinton that was dealing with that back in the 90s. But this is all what's going on while we've been watching the telly. I know not many people are doing that now, but it stands to reason that these people are profiting from this in a massive way. And it's not just it's all about money. It's not about money. It's not about money. These people can print as much money as they want. They're past that now. They've got everything they want. What they want now is our minds and our souls. That's what they need. And they need to keep chipping away with things like the cost of living and the issue with the benefits, the benefit fraud that we're dealing with regards to their sanctions they're getting put on, unauthorised sanctions, false bloody earnings that they're not actually receiving. Which brings me to the apparent biggest fraud in UK history. Well, benefit fraud in UK history now. I can't remember if I stumbled onto this or someone posted it. I think someone might have posted it in the comments. But it turns out that there's been a Bulgarian gang nabbed for stealing, stealing, what was it, £50 million from the benefit system, due to them, 5 members of a gang that falsely claimed more than 50 million in universal credit, and the largest benefit fraud in England and Wales, have been convicted. So, I'm not saying this is right. I'm glad they've been caught, and I'm glad they're going to jail for it. But here's the thing. It's wrong to do that, it is. And they're from Bulgaria, so they shouldn't even be coming here to claim benefits. It's like, look, the only way you should be coming in here to claim any benefits if you're genuinely an asylum seeker. The minute it's revealed that you are not from a country that's in a state of war, you should be shipped there back, regardless of any human rights. What about our human rights? What about them? Because this is the type of thing that justifies these measures that the DWP put on us with regards to snooping on people and wanting to see 4 months of bank statements, which you're going to have to do because there's no way around it. I got the mandatory reconsideration back the other day there from the case manager that was telling me about it, and it's been rejected. I suppose we expected that. But it justifies, when something like that's going on, they then say, right, well, we need to look at this stuff. And no one is going to have many grievances with that, because the average person is going to say, well, no, I don't want them snooping into people's bank accounts, but if we're going to have gangs from Bulgaria or whatever stealing £50 million over a 2 or 3 year period or whatever it was, then I'm afraid we're going to have to do it. It was the same with the Patriot Act during 9/11, when they were snooping on their own bloody citizens, even though they knew what had happened. People were saying at the time, well, I don't like being snooped on, I don't like this act, but we have to because we need to be protected. Well, guess what, mate? That was the plan in the beginning. And it's the same with this. See, they must jump for joy. See, the people that control and dictate this stuff, when something like this happens, they must jump for joy because it gives them the excuse. And we need to stop giving them the excuse. Now, they're saying that it's the biggest benefit fraud in UK history. Hold that thought, mate, because that is nothing compared to what they've done, or what they've done to claimants without them really knowing about it. I've had a few discussions about it this week about it, and more people contacting me that are just, they must be absolutely at their wits' end, and I'm at my wits' end as well with it, because I'm having to deal with it too, even though they know who I am. They still blatantly lie to me and say that I'm mistaken. So I know how difficult that must be, but when it comes out, the benefit fraud that they've committed, it's going to be a lot more than £50 million. I can tell you that. And this gang here that's been caught with this, apparently they raided, what did they call it, like a benefit centre or something like that. It was like a setup where they could actually use this. They had a space where they could go in there and set up these claims and sell them to people, national insurance numbers, etc. And it's just, apparently what they done was, they would get rejected all the time, but they would eventually come back and keep doing it, and they would get it. Now, I spoke to a case manager when I was still doing the job, and she said to me, she said, Alan, you've got absolutely no idea how many people submit false tenancy agreements, and it's in this as well, that apparently it's an organised crime gang, and they're reporting false earnings, obviously using the earnings reporting system to launder their money. So these criminal gangs that think that, oh, it's okay, it's a government across there it doesn't matter to us. They've got no idea of the stress they're causing people and the justification they're giving the government to then increase these measures. I had someone tell me the other day there that the government's only doing this, they're only causing this stress because they care and they want people back into employment. I couldn't believe it. I said to the person, I said, look, that's just not true. What about the people that are actually working? Why are they getting the stress? So what's the reason for them? And then the person came back and said, well, actually, I got my MP involved and the DWP were lying to me. And I said, right, so they were lying to you and they're causing stress. Oh, they're very nice, aren't they? Very caring and loving. I mean, that's Stockholm Syndrome on a level that barely beggars belief. I mean, words barely describe that. I was flabbergasted, I couldn't believe it. And I said, people are going to have to stop lying to themselves. I mean, to say that they're only doing this because they care, I'm very sorry, but when you're saying that, there's no hope for you, there's just no hope for you. And we need to get out of thinking like that. How anyone can say that people are trying to be good when they're doing things like this, adding these discrepancies onto the benefits by sanctioning money they shouldn't be sanctioned, saying that that's a good thing, Again, we need to have a look at Stockholm Syndrome, because that's what that is. It's having empathy with your captors. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And I mean, these people, they've been released, and one of them's gone back to Bulgaria. And I'll say it one more time. If you come to this country and you've risked life and limb to come across the channel, to get into England, into Dover or whatever it is, and it's then revealed that you've came from Bulgaria or France or Algeria or somewhere like that, then I am very, very sorry, but you need to be extradited back, because there is just no room for anyone here at the moment. It's not that we're racist, we're not being bad or ignorant or anything like that. It's just that we need to look after ourselves first, and if you knew there was another agenda at play, maybe you would have another, have another plan in mind instead of coming here, because you yourself are being moved into position like a chess piece. And I'm sorry, but if you keep on coming here, you're going to, and the ones that are already here are going to find out that the hard way if we don't hurry up and get our heads together and do something about this. And the people out there, I know things are difficult, but going out there and setting up these benefit crime syndicates to then siphon the money out and launder money, I'm sorry, but you ain't helping humanity. Oh, I know we all need to get on, but you are the direct cause of people's suffering, because I say it again, it's that type of behaviour that justifies or gives them the justification to bloody perform these things. And we can't really say a lot about it, because we say, well, yeah, there is benefit claimants out there that shouldn't be claiming this stuff. There is these organised crime syndicates that are setting up these false benefits to siphon the money out. Who can argue with that? That's why we need to become better people, and that is why we need to stop this, because once we become better people and we get everything together and open hearts and minds, money will it won't be as relevant. We'll still need some form of trade somewhere, but it will not be as relevant as what it is in this current society. People won't fiend over it as much, because we'll have everything we need. Everybody will be putting their heads and mind, their hearts and minds together and creating a new system where everyone's provided for. And once that happens, again, the longer we have a society like that where we work together, the less relevant money will become as we move through it, because we'll create abundance. But we're not going to create abundance if we're trying to operate like this, with these syndicates within this system, because that's not, it's going to help the people that's in the syndicate until they get jailed, but that's it. It doesn't help anyone else. And even you, it's not helping you, because you always get caught in the end. And this is what it says at the end of the article. And I want to read this. So, today's convictions underline our commitment to protecting taxpayers' money, and it is only right and fair that we bring to justice those stealing from the public purse. Right, okay, I agree with that, Mel Stride, Secretary of State, said, for the Secretary of State for the Department for Work and Pensions, I am immensely proud of DWP investigators' work in collaboration with the Crown Prosecution Service to take down this organised crime group. Me too, Mel, well done. But you'll be hearing from me just shortly, because there's another organised crime group that you need to know about. But I'll bet you'll want nothing to do with it, because you may be aware of it. You may be aware of the darkness of what runs your industry. This is what she said at the end. Wait, honestly, it'll make you laugh. My message is simple. If you're committing benefit fraud, you are cheating the taxpayer, and we will catch you. Well, thank you, Mel. I'm going to hold you to their words, and the next person you're going to hear from is me, and I'm going to encourage you to watch this bloody channel of mine, because you're obviously an advocate for stopping benefit fraud. You're a crusader. Brilliant. I need to speak to you, because there's a bigger benefit fraud going on here now. If you want to take on crime syndicates from Bulgaria, but you don't want to take on the darker forces that are behind this, then I'm sorry, you're a bloody coward and you're not fit for purpose. So, like I say, you'll be hearing from me in due course, because it's time we need to start getting moving and start not only getting the benefit cheats out, they're sorted out, but the ones in the shadows, we need to sort them out as well, because it's never, I mean, that's just a tiny part of it. As I've explained many times, there's a lot of work to do here, and it's time to switch the TVs off and the phones off and start to get working, like it really is. I am going to send this person an email somehow to try. I don't know how I'm going to. Get it on LinkedIn or something like that to see if she's on there, because they need to know about this. They can't just pick and choose what bloody benefit fraud they take on. This is killing people. 50 million is a lot of money, but it's a drop in the bucket when you're dealing with what they've. Well, like I done that video last week there to give people an idea of how much they've stole from it, just by reducing the payment to once a month rather than fortnightly. Not to mention what they've added on in deductions. It's anything between 11 and 97 billion over the time that universal credit has been available to claimants. So, what's worse, 50 million or 50 billion? I'll let you answer it. thank you very much for watching my latest video. I'm going to be going on to a podcast tomorrow. I was on another one the other day there. I'll get some links posted for you, and then I'll see you next week. Thank you very much for watching my latest video, and enjoy your weekend when it comes around. Take it easy. Alright, man.